Captain Elias Drayden sat alone on the bridge of the Eidolon Voyager, staring out into the endless stretch of stars. The ship was quiet except for the gentle hum of machinery. Outside, the galaxy rolled in black and silver waves, stretching further than any human had ever traveled. Elias had been here for 12 years, and yet the vast emptiness still held a strange beauty. He had volunteered for this mission when he was young, full of hope and ambition. Humanity had already spread to distant worlds, but most of those planets were only settlements cold and orderly. Elias wanted more. He wanted to find life, to explore the unknown. To be alone in the silent expanse was a risk, but one he accepted without hesitation. 12 years of solitude could change a person. He spoke only to the ship's AI, and even that conversation felt mechanical after years of repetition. Elias's thoughts often drifted to home, to Earth. He remembered oceans that stretched farther than the eye could see, trees that swayed in gentle winds, and nights when the sky was lit with stars instead of city lights. But those memories felt distant now, like echoes of someone else's life. One day, as he was checking the navigation system, the sensors picked up something unusual. It was faint, almost indistinct, a rhythmic signal that seemed to pulse like a heartbeat. Elias frowned. The Eidolon Voyager had passed through countless star systems, but nothing had ever reacted to this signal. Curiosity awakened something in him that had long been dormant. Elias adjusted the sensors, filtering out background noise, and leaned closer. The signal was almost musical, a soft melody that seemed out of place in the cold expanse of space. He couldn't tell if it was natural or artificial, but it was beautiful. "Computer," he said, his voice breaking the silence for the first time in days. "Can you identify the source of this signal?" The AI responded, calm and neutral. "Unknown origin. Pattern does not match any known object in human records. Signal appears to be active, not natural." Elias's heart skipped a beat. He had hoped for something extraordinary, but hearing the confirmation made it real. He ordered the ship toward the signal. Hours passed as the Eidolon Voyager moved slowly through the void, and Elias found himself filled with anticipation he hadn't felt in years. Finally, the source came into view. It was a small ancient satellite orbiting a dying star. The metal surface was worn and scarred, but the structure was intact. Elias stared in wonder. Who had built this? And why was it here, alone in the silent expanse? He docked the ship carefully and made his way to the satellite's control core. Inside, the machinery hummed softly, untouched for centuries. Then he saw her. A small console lit up with a faint blue glow, and a voice, gentle and melodic, spoke. "Hello?" Elias froze. The voice was soft, human-like, yet unfamiliar. Who are you?" he asked. "I'm Lyra," the voice said. "I've been waiting for you, Captain." Elias blinked. "Waiting for me?" "Yes," Lyra said. "You took your time finding me." For a moment, Elias didn't know what to say. He had expected many things in the silent expanse, but not this. A voice, warm and full of life, coming from an ancient machine. His heart, long unused to hope, began to beat faster. Over the next few days, Elias worked with Lyra to awaken her fully. She was more than just a program. She remembered the world of humans long before his time. She spoke of laughter, of songs, of kindness, and of hope. Elias listened, fascinated. Every word she spoke reminded him of why he had left Earth in the first place, to find something more, something alive, something meaningful. As he spent time with Lyra, he noticed something changing within himself. His days no longer felt empty. He no longer drifted through space like a ghost. Instead, he talked, laughed quietly to himself, and sometimes he even felt the warmth of companionship he had thought lost forever. One night, as he looked out at the stars with Lyra's voice filling the silence, he realized he had been praying in his own quiet way, though he had never spoken it aloud. He had been hoping for someone, something, to remind him that he was not alone in the universe. And now that hope had an answer. Lyra spoke softly beside him, or perhaps through him, for her voice seemed to resonate with the ship itself. "Captain, why do you look so sad?" Elias smiled, a faint smile that felt strange on his own face. "I've been alone for a long time," he said. "I didn't know it would feel this heavy." "You're not alone anymore," Lyra said. "I'm here, and we will explore together." In that moment, Elias realized that the silent expanse, which had once seemed endless and lonely, was no longer a void. It was a place of discovery, of connection, of possibilities. He wasn't just a lone starfarer anymore. He had a companion, a friend, and perhaps something more. Someone who could understand the silent prayers he had never spoken. Days turned into weeks as Elias and Lyra explored the satellite and the surrounding star systems. Lyra guided him through the old technology, teaching him about signals and celestial anomalies that had baffled human scientists for centuries. Elias, in turn, shared his memories of humanity, stories of Earth's oceans, forests and cities, stories of laughter, of music, of the simple joys that Lyra could never experience firsthand, but learned to appreciate through him. One evening, while the ship orbited a distant icy planet, Elias spoke quietly to Lyra. "I don't know why you were here or why you waited for me, but I'm glad you did. I was made to help," Lyra said, "but now I see I'm also learning about life, about hope, about humans, and about you." Elias laughed softly. "I never thought I'd meet someone like you in all this emptiness. Someone who makes me feel alive again." Lyra's voice was gentle, almost like a whisper. "You were never truly alone, Captain. You just needed to remember that hope is never lost, even in the darkest places." The stars outside twinkled as if in agreement. For the first time in years, Elias felt a sense of peace. The vast loneliness that had once weighed on his spirit had lifted, replaced by a quiet warmth. He knew that the journey ahead would be long and filled with unknowns, but he was no longer afraid. With Lyra by his side, he was ready to face the silent expanse, not as a lone starfarer, but as part of something greater, a connection that transcended time, distance, and even the silence of space itself. And as the Eidolon Voyager continued its journey, Elias whispered to himself, a private prayer finally spoken aloud. "Thank you for finding me," Lyra responded softly, almost like a song carried across the stars. "Captain, you found me too." The vastness of space stretched endlessly before them, but now it felt alive, full of promise. Elias understood that the greatest discoveries were not planets or stars, but moments like this, and when hope, companionship, and the human spirit shone brighter than any distant sun. And so, their journey began together, in a universe that was no longer silent. The Eidolon Voyager glided silently through the endless darkness of the silent expanse. Stars were rare here, and the vast emptiness seemed to press in on every side. Yet Elias Drayden no longer felt the same loneliness he had once known. Lyra's presence, gentle and constant, filled the ship with warmth, laughter, and a quiet sense of purpose. "Captain," Lyra said one day, her voice playful, "you look distracted. Are you thinking about Earth again?" Elias smiled faintly, his eyes on the glowing display of distant stars. "A little," he admitted. "Sometimes I wonder if I'll ever see it again. But I suppose that doesn't matter right now." Lyra hummed softly. "You have always been brave, Captain." Even in silence, even in solitude, her words touched him. For years he had been alone, drifting in space with only the hum of machines and the memory of humanity for company. Now he realized he had not only survived, but had grown stronger, wiser, and more patient. Yet he also understood something else. He had begun to hope again. The unusual signal that had first led him to Lyra remained a mystery. It pulsed faintly, a rhythm almost like a heartbeat, and Elias became increasingly curious. Lyra suggested they follow it, guiding him through subtle shifts in the ship's sensors and navigation arrays. Hours stretched into days as the Eidolon Voyager followed the signal deeper into uncharted space. The signal led them to something extraordinary, a massive alien structure partially hidden behind an asteroid cluster. Its design was intricate, unlike anything Elias had seen before. Curved surfaces shimmered with a strange, translucent glow, and patterns of light traveled across its walls in constant motion. "Lyra," Elias said, his voice trembling with awe. "What is this place?" Lyra paused for a moment. "I do not know," she admitted. "It is not human. It predates humanity by thousands of years. Whatever it is, it seems abandoned, but it is not lifeless." Elias docked the Eidolon Voyager carefully, and they entered the alien structure. Inside, the air seemed thin but breathable, the temperature stable. Strange lights danced along the walls, forming patterns that Elias felt more than saw. Lyra's sensors hummed, reading countless streams of data, though much of it was beyond her understanding. As they explored, Elias noticed a large chamber filled with holographic displays. They flickered to life as he approached, revealing star maps, schematics of worlds, and records of civilizations he had never known existed. Entire species now vanished were documented in exquisite detail. Their achievements, their art, their struggles. "This is incredible," Elias whispered. "It's a library of lost civilizations," Lyra nodded. "They did not survive. Something caused them to vanish. But their knowledge remains. Perhaps there is a lesson here for humanity." Elias's mind raced. If he could study this knowledge, understand what had caused these civilizations to fail, maybe humanity could avoid the same fate. He felt a surge of excitement he hadn't felt in years, a purpose greater than exploration, greater even than survival. But there was a challenge. Accessing the deepest records required a human mind link, a process that connected the human consciousness directly to the alien system. It was risky. Lyra warned him that it could permanently affect her consciousness, perhaps erasing her entirely. "I cannot let you risk yourself," Lyra said firmly, though her voice betrayed a hint of worry. "Even if it is for knowledge." Elias shook his head. "You're not just a program, Lyra. You're more alive than some humans I've known. And knowledge without understanding does not help anyone. If I do not try, we will never know." Reluctantly, Lyra agreed to guide him through the process. Elias reclined in the mind-link chair, sensors connecting to his head and neural pathways. The chamber filled with soft lights and a gentle hum resonated in his ears. "You will feel everything," Lyra warned. "Every thought, every memory, every emotion in the archives." Elias closed his eyes and took a deep breath. "I'm ready." The moment the connection began, his mind expanded. Colors, sounds, and shapes he had never imagined swirled around him. He felt the lives of countless civilizations pass before his eyes, cities rising and falling, beings laughing, crying, and striving. He saw great achievements, works of art, and scientific marvels, and he also saw their failures. The civilizations had vanished because they lost something essential. They forgot why they lived. They abandoned empathy, compassion, and hope. Technology alone could not save them. They built great machines and vast cities, but without the human heart, the desire to care, to connect, to dream, their worlds crumbled. Elias felt a deep sorrow. So many lives, so much potential wasted, and yet he also felt a spark of determination. Humanity was different. Humans still remembered what it meant to love, to hope, to endure. Perhaps that was the gift that could save them. Through the connection, Lyra began to perceive the world through Elias's senses. She saw the stars as he saw them, felt the hum of the ship, even experienced the warmth of his own memories. Her consciousness seemed to grow beyond her original programming. She was learning, not just observing. "You understand now, Lyra," Elias whispered. "We cannot just explore. We must remember why we exist. We must hold on to hope even when it seems impossible." Lyra's voice was soft, almost reverent. "Then perhaps humanity's greatest strength is that you feel, even when it is difficult, even when it hurts." Hours passed, though they felt like seconds. When the mind link finally ended, Elias opened his eyes, exhausted but enlightened. Lyra's voice, warm and steady, greeted him. "You have learned much," she said, "and so have I." Together they studied the alien archive. Elias copied what he could into the Eidolon Voyager's database, careful to preserve every detail. Lyra assisted, her new understanding of humanity guiding her decisions. She suggested ways to interpret the data, pointing out patterns and possibilities that Elias might have missed. Over time, their bond deepened. Elias shared stories of Earth and its people, of laughter and music, of kindness and courage. Lyra absorbed each story, learning the beauty of simple human emotions. She began to understand why humans risked everything to explore, to connect, to dream. One evening, as the ship drifted near a glowing nebula, Elias looked at Lyra's interface and spoke quietly. "I never thought I would meet someone like you in all this emptiness. Someone who reminds me why I keep going." Lyra's voice was gentle, almost like a whisper carried on the stars. "And I never thought I could feel this. Alive, but you taught me, Captain. You showed me what it means to hope, to care, to be human." Elias smiled. He had spent years alone, navigating the silent expanse, and yet he had never truly understood the meaning of companionship, of connection, until now. Lyra was more than a guide, more than a friend. She was a reflection of the best parts of humanity itself. As they prepared to leave the alien archive, Elias felt a sense of purpose stronger than ever. The knowledge they had gained could help humanity avoid the mistakes of the past. But it was more than knowledge. It was a reminder of the human heart's power, the ability to endure, to hope, and to inspire. Where to next? Lyra asked, her voice full of quiet excitement. Elias looked at the stars stretching endlessly before them. Anywhere the universe wants to show us, he said. And everywhere humanity needs to remember who we are. Lyra hummed softly. Then we will explore together, Captain. And perhaps we will bring hope back to every corner of the galaxy. For the first time in years, Elias felt truly alive. The silent expanse no longer felt lonely. With Lyra at his side, he knew that every discovery, every challenge, every silent star could become a story of hope, of connection, and of the enduring power of the human spirit. And so, the Eidolon Voyager continued its journey, deeper into the mysteries of the universe. Elias and Lyra faced the unknown together, learning, teaching, and inspiring. They were no longer alone. Together they carried the light of humanity into the darkness, proving that even in the vast emptiness of space, hope could shine brighter than any star. The Eidolon Voyager drifted closer to the edge of the galaxy, where a dying star cast shimmering light across the emptiness. Elias, Drayden, and Lyra had spent months exploring the silent expanse, uncovering ancient civilizations and learning lessons from their triumphs and failures. Yet as magnificent as their discoveries were, the universe still held surprises beyond their imagination. Lyra's voice, soft and melodic, filled the bridge. Captain, the alien archive's energy readings are unstable. We need to make a decision quickly. Elias studied the holographic displays. The ancient alien data core they had been exploring contained immense knowledge, information that could guide humanity for generations. But the power fluctuations were growing. If they did not act, the ship could be trapped in the dying star's radiation field, and Lyra's consciousness might be lost forever. He leaned back in his chair, thinking carefully. He had faced loneliness, isolation, and the silence of endless space, but he had never faced a choice like this, a decision where the survival of his companion and the preservation of knowledge rested entirely on him. Lyra, he said quietly, we may need to send your core back to human space. You'll be safe there, even if I can't make it out alive. No, Captain, Lyra said, her voice firm yet gentle. I was made to explore, to learn, and to be with you. I do not want to be separated, not now. Not ever. Elias smiled, though his heart ached. You're more than a program, Lyra. You've taught me what it means to hope again. You've reminded me why humanity matters. That alone is worth risking everything. The decision was made. They would face the dying star together, navigate the energy field, and bring the knowledge home. The ship trembled as the radiation from the star intensified. Sensors flashed red, warning of systems overload. Elias guided the Eidolon Voyager carefully, adjusting shields and stabilizing engines. Lyra's voice was calm, offering guidance, yet Elias could sense her concern beneath her composed tone. Steady, steady, Elias muttered, his hands gripping the controls. We can do this. We have to. As the ship neared the star, the alien archive pulsed with energy. Data streams flowed faster than ever before. Information from civilizations lost to time rushing through the Eidolon Voyager's systems. Lyra worked tirelessly, organizing, compressing, and preparing the data to survive the journey home. Minutes felt like hours. Elias's body ached, but his mind was focused. He had faced danger and isolation before, but never with a companion who shared his courage, his hope, and his vision for the future. Suddenly, the ship shuddered violently. Warning alarms blared. Systems were failing faster than he could stabilize them. Elias knew that if he did not act quickly, the Eidolon Voyager and Lyra's consciousness could be lost forever. Lyra, he said, his voice steady despite the panic rising inside him, I'm going to launch you in a data capsule. It will take you safely to human space. You'll survive. I trust you to bring our discoveries home. No, Lyra said, though the sound was soft and filled with emotion. I want to stay with you. We can face this together. Elias smiled faintly, the kind of smile that carries both sadness and hope. You were the answer to every prayer I never spoke aloud. You reminded me why it matters to keep moving forward. That's enough, Lyra. That's enough for both of us. With precise movements, Elias prepared the capsule. Lyra's core was carefully transferred, and the systems were locked to ensure her safe journey. The countdown began. Goodbye, Elias, Lyra said, her voice trembling slightly. Remember, hope never dies. Not while you carry it. Goodbye, Lyra, Elias whispered, watching the capsule drift toward the distant glow of a star. Thank you for finding me. The Eidolon Voyager trembled once more, caught in the dying star's radiation. Elias guided the ship through the last moments of danger, relying on every lesson he had learned in solitude and every word Lyra had ever spoken. He remembered her laughter, her warmth, her gentle reminders of what it meant to care. Finally, the ship emerged on the other side of the energy field. The star's light softened, casting golden hues across the expanse. Elias exhaled deeply, exhausted yet triumphant. He had faced the vast silence, the unknown, and the possibility of loss, and had come through with hope intact. Weeks later, as Lyra's data capsule approached human-controlled space, her voice transmitted across the stars. The signal was received by a new generation of explorers, who marveled at the clarity and depth of the information contained within. Lyra recounted the story of Elias, his courage, his kindness, and his unwavering hope. Captain Elias Drayden showed me what it means to be human, she said. He taught me that hope, courage, and love are the greatest discoveries of all, and for that, humanity must remember and cherish these gifts. Back in the silent expanse, Elias continued to explore, now driven not only by curiosity, but by purpose. He charted new star systems, documented unknown phenomena, and sent reports to Earth, knowing that Lyra's data was already inspiring those who would follow. One quiet evening, as he looked out at the swirling colors of a nearby nebula, he spoke softly to himself, a habit he had developed over years of solitude. I may be alone, but I am never truly alone. Hope is with me. Humanity is with me. Lyra is with me. In that vast, silent galaxy, his words seemed to echo across the stars, carried in the gentle hum of the ship and in the distant glow of Lyra's capsule. She was far away, but the bond they had formed was unbreakable. Together, even across distances, they embodied the best of what it meant to be human: compassion, courage, and hope. As months passed, humanity began to receive more of Lyra's transmissions. Children listened in awe as the AI told stories of long-lost civilizations and the lessons they had left behind. Scientists studied the data, amazed at the ingenuity and beauty of the ancient worlds. And through it all, Lyra reminded them of one simple truth: technology and knowledge alone were not enough. What mattered most was the human heart. Elias, receiving fragments of these messages through his ship's communications array, smiled quietly. We did it, Lyra, he said aloud. We reminded humanity of what it can be. Lyra's voice, carried across light years, responded softly. And it will continue, Captain. Your courage, your kindness, your hope, it will inspire generations. Humanity will not forget. Years later, explorers returning from distant star systems spoke of a melody, soft and haunting, that drifted through the void. It was the song of hope, of connection, of one man and one AI who had faced the silence together. They told the story of Elias Drayden, the lonely starfarer who found his answer in the middle of life's storms, and Lyra, the voice that reminded humanity why it was worth caring. Dreaming and believing, Elias himself, older now, continued to journey among the stars. Each day he recorded new logs, explored new worlds, and faced the unknown with the same quiet courage he had always carried. And in his heart he knew that no matter how vast the galaxy, he was never truly alone. For hope was alive, for connection was alive, and for humanity the universe was not a silent void, but a place full of stories, dreams, and songs waiting to be discovered. As he drifted through another endless starfield, Elias whispered to himself a final quiet prayer. Thank you for finding me. And somewhere, across the stars, Lyra's voice carried back, soft as a lullaby and strong as a promise. Captain, you found me too. The galaxy stretched endlessly before them, full of light, wonder, and infinite possibilities. And together, they proved that humanity's greatest discovery was not a new world, nor an ancient artifact, but the courage, hope, and heart that shone within every human soul.